Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
We once again don our DMing hats.
Or our prospective DMing hats. Or our prospective player hats. We're talking about D&D again today. But before we get too far into that, let's go with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. And what have you got for me today?
Is there a character type or concept that you've wanted to play in D&D, but you haven't because you know for a fact that outside of a one-shot or a very niche, small little game, it's going to get tiresome for even you to play? Now, why do I bring this question up? Because you've done this in one of the one-shots I ran when you played that Warforged, and immediately after, everyone was like, that was a fun character, and you even said it was fun to play, but you feel like after the third session it would get stale.
Yeah, that Warforged. I had a bin for a voice modulator. I talked into the bin to make it sound like I was a Warforged. It was a cute little effect. But yes, that kind of thing would get stale. The whole guy was... Yeah, he was a mechanical fella who was a druid, and yeah, the juxtaposition is fun, but I think a one-shotting was exactly the right place for him. My actual answer is probably just a high-level character. Like, the fact that you have all your tools means that you're either at the end of the game, or if you've got far too long to use them, then the story is going on far too long because you've reached the end already. You've finished your build. It's kind of the problem that you have sometimes at the end of, say, a Souls game where you've very definitely finished your build and everything else is just kind of doing it by the numbers, doing it a bit perfunctory, you know?
That's called sword and board in Souls.
Yeah.
Like, we'll shit on magic users all day, every day in Souls because everyone's like, oh, they're cheap and they're easy. In PvP, that's correct. In actual gameplay, you have to actually manage your spells.
Yeah. In a good old real game, once you have a great sword, everything else is that. It's just the same solution, but with bigger numbers.
Well, yeah, I'm fond of the greatsword, as you know. That being said, the solution to your wanting to play a level 20 character may be on the horizon, because D&D is releasing that Vecna campaign, and while I've not looked into it deeply, apparently it goes from level 10 to 20 and involves multiverse bullshit.
Ah, cool.
And the multiverse bullshit is so bullshit that Strahd is an NPC.
Just a random NPC. Oh man, it shows how much of an asshole Vecna is if Strahd is just an NPC.
Yeah, apparently what they're trying to do is they're trying to push Vecna as the face, as the big evil thing in D&D, which, fair enough, I suppose. Like, it's not like there's a dozen fucking things that could be your level 20 endgame threat, but whatever.
Yeah, while believably not just being a god.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Because it's all well and good saying, let's put Vlakiv in, but, well, Vlakiv's a bad example because she's not a god. Tiamat.
Yeah. Like in Rise of Tiamat, apparently the Tiamat that you kill in Rise of Tiamat is representative of Tiamat, in that it's an avatar, but isn't the real one because you don't kill the real one, obviously.
Well, yeah, because I believe the end... I haven't read the module, but I believe the end game boss of that is CR17. Which is very low for a god.
I mean, if it's Tiamat, I think she's pretty much on par with the Tarask, so like CR25 or 30 or something. I'm
pretty sure Tarask is 30, but like I've never intended to run a Tarask ever, so I've never actually looked at the stat block. All I know is it's bullshit.
Yeah,
it's like,
bullshit.
Oh, if you get an Aarakocra player character with a bow, and it's like, hey, guess what? That won't work.
Yeah, because it can pick up a rock and throw it.
And even if it couldn't do that, why would a Tarask not just leave?
Yeah.
It'd just be like, this flea keeps annoying me. And it could do it. If your goal is to just kill the Tarask, fine, fair, it might work eventually. But being the hero of the story, your actual goal should be to prevent destruction, and the Tarask in 300 turns can destroy the world.
Yeah. But I've got the two answers of the one that you gave to me as part of the question, and just high-level characters in general. I enjoy getting there, but I tend not to enjoy playing the high-level character because you've got too much... you've got too much choice, but also you've already done all your combos. But how about you? What would be something that you would enjoy for a short amount of time, but not for a very long amount of time?
Yeah, I've shared a character concept with you that's very much a long-form character I would love to play. However, you know that I get tired very easily in D&D. As a player, I love DMing, but as a player, I get very bored very easily. That being said, my actual concept would be a human bard, where random NPCs would keep springing up, and they're all his bastards.
Yeah. Yes.
I would love to do that, but only for a one-shot or a session that takes like 3 days or something.
Yeah, like a one arc thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not meant to level up during this adventure. It might take more than one session to do it, but yeah, it's touted as a short adventure.
Like, I'd play a proper dignified 70-year-old man who's a bard and does bard things, and it's just like, there's loads of half demi-humans that just keeps, and it's like going, hang on a minute, I know you. And it's like, sweats nervously in common.
And then you meet your first half mimic.
Oh, that's a bad day at the office. But I think that'd be fun for a very short form game.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you have a question for me?
My one for you is just to remember fondly a character that you've played on the tabletop. Congratulations! There's now a live action version. Who do you get as your actor?
Oh, fucking hell. I guess it would technically have to be Alex Hirsch, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, for people who don't know, my most recent character who I actually enjoyed playing was, I literally called him Hootzifer, and it was a humanised version of Hootie from the Owl House. And yeah, so I guess it would have to be Alex Hirsch. I don't know if I actually don't know what the guy looks like, but it doesn't really matter because he always wore a mask.
Yeah, he wore the little hoodie mask.
What about you?
I like that one, yeah. Mine one was, I just fondly recalled Kellen DeForge and thought, who is a large woman who is also gorgeous, and I went straight to Gwendolyn Christie.
I don't think she's the type of person she'd need a wig and a lot of makeup.
Well, yeah, she's not quite that brown. But yeah, and the hair colour is negotiable. Basically, I just like to see Gwendolyn Christie with long hair.
Fair enough. I don't think I've ever seen her with long hair, truth be told.
Yeah, because a lot of the characters that she plays are either short-haired or in helmets.
It still blows my fucking mind that they got her to play Brienne of Tarth. And I don't mind that they got her to play a Brienne of Tarth. She did a wonderful job. It was my first exposure to the actress. But they didn't change the dialogue of everyone taking the piss out of her for being ugly. And Gwendolyn, well, not ugly, but mannish is how Brienne is described in the books. And everyone keeps making note of that fact in the show, and it's like you're looking at Gwendolyn Christie in armor, and it's like, not really.
Yeah. Yeah, like world-class beauty, and all of these peasants are just taking pot shots at her. Oh boy. But yes, today we're doing a top 5 list. We're doing our top 5 favourite subclasses in D&D 5th edition. I'm saying correct at time of publishing. So let's go. Who's going to be your number 5?
My number 5 is the humble Tempest Domain Cleric.
Yeah, before Cleric.
Yeah, this can be found in the player's handbook, so you don't have to really go out your way to find the rules for this. I've always I've picked a lot of these because I like them flavour-wise, but also the Tempest Domain Cleric gets some extra points because it really shone with the chain. Well, I don't think they even changed it that much, but Baldur's Gate 3 really did make me take a like to this class.
Yeah. I'll talk until the end of time about the combo in Baldur's Gate 3, but yeah, it really, really does work really well. If you have a lightning bolt user and you just feed it a couple of levels of Tempest Cleric, just choose to do infinity damage with your lightning spells.
Yeah. I mean, I like it because you get all of the bonuses from the War Cleric, but you know the proficiencies, I should say.
Yeah, like heavy armor and martial weapons.
But better than that, you get some really fun, goofy things with thunder and lightning themed spells.
Yeah, like you get a version of Hellish Rebuke, but like thunder and lightning. It's
very cool. I like it. The main reason why this is number 5 is there is a character that I've wanted to play for a while. I've always wanted to play a Dragonborn who was kidnapped by pirates as an egg.
Yeah.
And he was a Tempest Cleric because one day, you were kind of a divine punishment as to the pirates that kidnapped you as a kid or as an egg, because once you hatched, you had all these sick lightning powers and you killed them all by accident.
Yeah, doing double damage because they were probably wet at the time.
Maybe so, but yeah, it's an idea I've always wanted. But you're right. It is the 4-flavored cleric, and if you can't do something with that creatively, then D&D might not be for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I do like this. This is one where if you focus on Thor being the lightning guy and not the hammer guy, then
I mean, you're also a cleric because you can have hammers as well.
Yeah, but you're not as good with a hammer as like a martial character, which I think a lot of people would argue Thor very definitely is.
Yeah, probably. But Thor from the MCU, yes.
Yes.
Thor in mythology, okay, he's a dumb brick as well there, but you know.
Yeah, he likes Mjolnir because he can still hit things with it and it's invincible. invincible.
Well, that's not really a thing in the... I'm not going to go into Viking lore, don't worry about it. But yeah, Tempest Cleric is fun. I feel like what you could do is you could potentially play a blind game of D&D where you just hand out classes and be like, you are this. You get to flavour it how you want, and any player worth their salt would be able to just go, okay, I've got a backstory for this already, this will be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, how about you? Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian. This is someone who haunts their opponents with ghosts of their ancestors, and gets them to... It's basically one of the only actual tank stances in all of D&D, because it's one of the problems in D&D that you've only got one reaction, even if you are a tank. If someone walks away from you, all you can do is attack them once, and they just keep on going. And if you're against multiple guys, well, tough shit. And once you've attacked one of them, they're all going to leave. They're all going to go for your wizard and kill your wizard.
Yeah, we have a player in our current game who's doing a sort of tank build because there's a weird combo he's doing with wizard and artificer.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing. When you hit something, they have disadvantage to attack anyone else.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's incentivizing them to hit the person that hit them, and just take it as a taunt, as it were. And they get a couple of other fun, flavorful things, like they get to commune with the spirits. But the big thing is the level 3 thing of the tank stance. They can also do protection thing of if something does get protected, does get hit, then a spirit can go in the way and help shield them. It's a really nice collaborative thing to do with something that's normally very, I'm going to say selfish, but I don't really mean it, because Barbarian is normally, I do my thing for me, it's a lot of damage, and I live long. And this is a much more party-focused Barbarian, and I think that's cool.
I get you. When I think of Barbarian, I think of high damage, high single damage output, and high HP, high constitution, etc. Whenever I think of Barbarian tactics, I always think Barbarian is the bowling ball. It's very much just, I'm going to charge in the middle of all these enemies, and it depends what the DM is like. If the DM is DM versus player, the DM might just go, cool, I'm now just going to ignore this Barbarian and do as you say, and usually target other enemies. If the DM is like, this is a story and it's meant to make sense, and playing the enemies as if they they are actually in the world as opposed to in a turn-based combat game, the DM will likely be like, oh, a Barbarian just charged into the middle of 10 goblins. The 10 goblins are afraid of the big scary thing and want to kill it as soon as possible.
Yeah, you got your they're split down the middle between the ones that want to dogpile it and the ones that actually want to run away actually to the edges of the combat zone.
But yeah, it's one of those. A DM has to play a very tricky game of some enemies are smart and they know to ignore the guy in armor in favor of killing the person in robes throwing magic at them. Some enemies are not smart and will just attack the thing that is attacking them. And it's one of those where, Rick, you know me as a DM. I've got a really bad habit in that I don't actually like finishing off players.
Yeah.
Some people will say that's a bad habit. Some people will say it's a good thing. But it's one of those where it does put... It's a tightrope you have to walk,
Yeah, there's a tone to gauge for it, yeah.
But anyway, I digressed. Yeah, that's a fun one. I don't know anything about that Barbarian, so that might actually be a very cool thing to have crop up in games.
Yeah. It's one of my go-to fallbacks of, if we need this, then I've pretty much got that ready to go, because you don't really need to do much to it. You just add some combat feat to it and you're good to go.
Rick's one of these people who almost definitely always multi-classes. Or at least dips.
In recent years, not very much, but earlier on, very definitely. But yes. So, that's our number 5. Who's going to be your number 4?
Once again, from the Player's Handbook, I've taken the School of Necromancy Wizard.
Yeah. I think it's the most fun of the Player's Handbook wizards.
I've got to agree with you, to be honest. Everyone likes to throw a fireball. School of Necromancy Wizard can still throw a fireball. He's just got to be a bit more careful when he does it.
Yeah. Well, just like anyone who's not evocation.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, Rick, is Baldur's Gate 3 ruined me a little bit with wizards in that I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you had a subclass that let you just go, oh, those guys in the middle of my fireball? Well, they're my guys, so they don't get hurt.
Yep. Yeah, the the benefit of the good old cleric spell that I use is they have that built into it. You don't even have to have a subclass.
Oh, there you go. That's very nice. But yeah, I like the idea of two things. One, I like the idea of a good necromancer.
Yes, absolutely. That's something that you see it rarely in fiction, but even more rarely as you see it rarely enough on the tabletop, but even more rarely in actual fiction.
Yeah.
And like if you are shown a necromancer as part of a module, they're almost always a bad guy.
Well, yeah, but that's because the generic goal of most necromancers is, I want to be a lich.
Yeah, and not always. Just, I want to make infinite food for the village that I'm in.
I mean, I had that be a thing once as a subplot, and no one really pursued it, so I was like, okay, well, whatever.
Well, there was Human Town as well, where you did it with oozes.
That wasn't me. That was someone else's writing. That was a one-shot I ran that someone else generously shared on Reddit.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, I ran it because I thought it was a cute idea. And I laughed my arse off when one of our players shot the thundering mound, shambling mound with a thunder wave.
Yeah,
and it's just like ha 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 ha. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea as well, even though I hate it as a DM. I do enjoy when players just summon a bunch of shit. I think it's a cool gimmick to play with. It's just it's less of a hassle, I think, when you're playing pen and paper.
Yeah. Because on pen and paper, you can just say, "Oh, I've got these 15 guys. They all shoot." And they all shoot at the same target, and they do so until it's dead, and then they move on.
Yeah, and also the fact that it's just, we need 15 tokens. Okay, I have so many pennies.
Yeah.
That's a trick I learned from a mutual friend of ours, which I'm so grateful for. But yeah, whereas I'm like this, Rick. I'm very anal when it comes to setting up the virtual tabletop. I message everyone whenever they have a pet or a summon or anything. Send me an image.
Yeah, if you want something to look like the thing that it's meant to look like, cool. Otherwise, yeah, it's just going to be generic zombie A.
Yeah. I just need something to represent the thing. Like, that tentacle thing that one of our players did was annoying me. Not because of the mechanic, but because it looked bad because I didn't have a thing for it to represent it.
Yeah. And until then, we had to just keep drawing something on the map.
Which I hate. It drives me mark wild. It's like, anyway, I digress once again. Necromancy's fun. I would love to play a necromancer, a proper necromancer, and not the bastard fucking thing you had me do way back when I first started D&D.
Oh yeah, with the bard.
Yeah. But yes, what about you? Who's your number 4?
My number 4 is the Horizon Walker Ranger. I touched on this in a hypothetical in the past. This is the ranger who can teleport.
Fun.
Yeah, they've got they do force damage. Like their level 3 thing is they can like convert all their damage to force and do an extra little bit of force damage on their attacks. It requires a bonus action, so they're not really dual wield friendly. And but the time that I ran one, we were running a variant set of rules called Rick's Guide to Fun, which was not me, but turns out a lot of the things that this other Rick put down were things that I would have also suggested. So it moved dual wielding into being just part of the attack action. I got to a pretty high level with this. After a certain level, I thought, I'm not really gaining anything more from Ranger, so I ended up using the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian as well on that build. But the big thing that it does at level 11 is after every attack, it can teleport 10 feet.
Yeah, like if you use a polearm with that as well, you're going to be fucking annoying.
Yes. So it's a bit like Deadpool when he gets his...
well, no, because Deadpool's just random.
Yeah, when he gets his little teleporter, but yeah, it wasn't quite as controlled as as the Horizon Walker can be.
So this is what book's this in?
This one is, I believe it's in Xanathar's.
Okay.
So not the first book that it came out in, but the first big one.
Yeah.
In fact, I think all the ones I'm about to say today are in Xanathar's, apart from one of them, which is in 2 books.
Okay.
I appreciate that the Tasha's subclasses are cool, but I'm not as up on them as I am on the Xanathar's ones. And then there's a couple of other stragglers, like I think there's a new giant barbarian. Yeah, I don't know those quite as well because they come out in single books rather than all together.
I mean, also, let's be honest here, Xanathar's cooler than Tasha.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not to shit on the adorable witch, but like it's such a cool concept of, here's a beholder, what does he do with his life? He runs a thieves guild, and he's not the first one.
Yeah. But yeah, this is another one of those where it made me like the class because the subclass was so cool.
To be fair, Rick, who hasn't at least once in their life shit on the Humble Ranger?
Oh, yeah. Like, especially in 5th, where it's directly comparable to the Paladin, who is one of the best designed classes in 5th ed, and the Ranger is one of the worst.
Well, it's one of those weird ones, isn't it? Because, like, they clearly wanted the Martial Caster hybrid. Like, Paladin is the Cleric fighter, and Ranger's clearly meant to be the Druid fighter, but it just doesn't... It does
neither very well. Like, it definitely feels more fighter than Druid, which is fine, but at that point, why not just be a fighter? And... because of the Battlemaster fighter, that's a very valid question. Because the Battlemaster's just so good at being a fighter, why be anything else? You need a real good reason. Normally that's, because I want to do pally things.
Like
it wasn't until you got these subclasses in Xanathars and Tashas that made the Ranger actually playable.
It's one of those as well where, like, I think a lot of people are tempted by the Ranger because of Beastmaster and getting a free pet, but
yeah.
The problem with that is, if your DM's cool, like me... you can just ask.
Yes. Yeah, as long as you're not stepping on the toes of someone who's put a class into getting a pet.
Oh, exactly. Like if we have a druid and all right, bad example. If they are a ranger, or no, yeah, there's a warlock that gets a pet, and if they do the Pact of the Chain,
yeah,
and they invest
familiar,
and they invest heavily in their familiar, then yeah, okay, it's a bit shitty. But you've also got to bear in mind, I'm not limitless with my generosity. If you're like, I want a pet saber-toothed tiger, I'd be like, no.
Yeah, maybe a saber-toothed house cat.
Yeah, that's fine.
Man, I'm imagining a saber-toothed house cat.
That'd be awful, Rick.
Yeah, be adorable, but like you would die.
It wouldn't be adorable. It would just be horrible. Like the only reason a saber-toothed tiger works is because they're big enough for their teeth.
Yes. But yes, that's my number 4. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is once again going to focus on ads. It's a subclass I brought up before. It's the humble Circle of the Shepherd Druid, who it is also in Xanathars.
Yeah. I think this is one of the ones where there are more choices for the Druid to summon, because the Necromancer has 2 choices. He has zombie or skeleton until you get to really high levels.
Yeah,
whereas the Druid's got all of the beasts.
Yeah, up until like Challenge Rate in 5, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it might be higher than that. I haven't actually seen how high up you can go. You can go up to at least 6. I see Mammoth on the list, but
yeah.
That's beast shape, never mind. But yeah, anyway, I digress. This is, again, another class that's focused on summoning. You get a bunch of cool abilities. You get Speech of the Woods and Spirit Totem at level 2, because druids get their specialty super early. So yeah, you basically get beast speech at level 2 and can talk to any animal. Spirit Totems are fun. You get 3 of them. They emit auras that just help the party. You get bear, hawk, and I want to say and unicorn, but you can reflavor these to whatever suits your druid. Most importantly, totally. At level 6 you get Mighty Summoner.
Yeah, it just buffs all your summons.
Yeah, when you summon a creature and you've got Mighty Summoner, the creatures appear with more hit points than normal. To be precise, 2 extra hit points per hit die it has.
Yeah, and this is not per challenge rating. You can look on the stat block and it tells you how many hit dice it has.
Yeah, it also changes their damage from natural weapons to magical for the purpose of immunity and resistance.
Yeah, so they can actually fight werewolves.
Yeah. Then you get on level 10, you get Guardian Spirit, which is when a beast or fey you summoned is within range of your spirit totem, it regains half of your summons. It regains HP for the summon that you made up to half your druid level.
Yeah, and that's a real good way to keep your guys around as long as they're not getting one shot.
Exactly. It's actually one of the reasons why summoning less at higher CR becomes a bit more viable once you hit level 10.
Yeah. As long as your DM abides by the spirit of what you're trying to do.
Oh, absolutely. But I think unless you've got a dickhead DM, as long as the spirit of what you're trying to do isn't trying to break the game.
Yeah. Because more creatures, which is the one that you can do without asking, is the one that does break the game more, because more action economy equals more win.
We'll ignore the way we ended last combat for Strahd, shall we?
Yeah.
I think that's the one dickhead move I've ever done as a DM is snakes go. Lastly, at level 15, you get Faithful Summon, which there's no other way to word it. This is just cool. When you are your most defenseless, once you're reduced to 0 hit points or incapacitated against your will, you can immediately gain the benefits of Conjure Animals as if it were cast at a 9th level spell slot.
Yeah.
It summons 4 beasts of your choice that are CR2 or lower. The conjured beasts appear within 20 feet of you if they receive no commands from you, because they probably won't, you're down. They protect you from harm and attack your foes, which is super good if you have a mean DM who does do kill shots.
Yeah, and it's super cute. Like, these CR2s, when you're that high level, are not that big of a deal. However, they are there. Yeah. And it's just this real nice cinematic moment of this big black bear and a panther and a constrictor snake and all that. They're all trying to help.
Yeah. I personally, I like the granted, it's a bit lower on the CR scale, but I like the idea of having 4 apes around you.
Yeah.
But yeah. The fun thing as well about Xanathars is it gives you a whole list of biomes and and creatures in those biomes, so you can flavour your wild shapes to make more thematic sense.
Yeah, like your bear can be a polar bear and it's the same stats.
Well, also it's just a list of creatures that live in that environment, so it's like if you grew up in an Arctic environment, because, alright, its rules as written, and I think the intent is that you're supposed to have seen the animal before you can turn into it.
Yeah, so basically you can't turn into you can't use T-Rex unless you're from Chult or you've been there.
Yeah, so it's one of those where that's why mammoth is under Arctic.
Yeah, and that's normally the highest that you can get. I think that's 6, and T-Rex is 8, and Great Ape is 7. So you even run into this with polymorph, where people can polymorph into a great ape all day, all night, because everyone knows what an ape is. But to progress from that, the only one you can progress to is T-Rex, which not everybody has seen.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I like summons. I really do think they're cool. If I was doing a long-form game in D&D, as opposed to Pathfinder, no offense to Pathfinder, it's just I'm not that familiar with the classes.
Sure.
If I was doing a long farm game of D&D, I'd probably be a druid who specialised in summoning. That or the necromancer, because again, I tried playing necromancer twice and both campaigns have fizzled out immediately.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Speaking of Pathfinder druid, I did run one. It's the only class I've run twice in Pathfinder, actually. One of them died at level 7, and the other one was a level 8 one arc thing. The level 8 one was basically Hot Pop.
Hot Pop?
Yeah.
Oh, Hot Pop. Okay, yeah, okay. It took me a moment to realise. I thought you said Hot Pop.
Yeah, and he had a pet, went around, and the pet was generically strong. Yeah.
It was Bessie.
Bessie, yeah. It was basically Bessie. And I called it Luann because kick his ass, Luann! Sounded like a fun thing to say in combat.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah, that was pretty good. Like Pathfinder, I will say, focuses more on single summons rather than multiples.
Well, but we had this question before where I believe it was one of my questions actually, where it's like, if you could have a dinosaur as a pet, what would you have? And my answer was, I want a flock of tiny velociraptors because I like the idea of having a flock of animals charge my foes.
Yeah, the accurate velociraptors, not the Deinonychus that Jurassic Park tries to tell us is a velociraptor, which is a cool creature.
But yes, Rick, what about your number 3?
My number 3 is the Divine Soul Sorcerer. This is something that went through a few iterations before it got printed. Because the favored soul was something in 3rd edition where it was basically, here is a cleric, but instead of all of your like channel divinity and armor and stuff, it's basically it's like the cleric spells on a sorcerer body, and it can fight its own way rather than the cleric way.
What do you think of the idea, Rick, of con being the sorcerer's casting stat instead of charisma?
I think it would work just fine. Especially since Sorcerer is it's a D6 hit dice, so it's not going to break the game too bad, because even if you go mono con, that's fine, because what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get another 5 HP.
Like, I agree with you, by the way. Like, someone pointed out in a video, and I forget the chappie's name, where it's weird that charisma doubles up for a spellcaster.
Yeah, triples up if you count Warlock.
I was counting Bard as the 3rd one.
Okay, yeah, Warlock, Bard, and Sorcerer, yeah, and Quad if you count Paladin, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, I mean pure spellcaster. It's one of those where I guess depending on what flavour bard you've got, they're not pure spellcasters.
Yeah. I mean, they're like charisma is very definitely the most populated casting stat, which makes multi-classing very easily. Case in point, the Divine Soul is very often paired with Paladin, and the combo is 6 Pally, 14 Soul, because you do get level 9 slots eventually. You don't get level 9 spells, but you get the slots. Level 14 Sorcerer, it shares this perk with Draconic in that you get wings. So you get permanent flight, and on this one, the big level 1 thing is you get access to both the sorcerer and cleric spell list.
If my time browsing Reddit subreddits has taught me anything, it's that if something gives a character flight, it almost immediately gets banned at most tables.
Yeah, unless it's high level.
Well, yeah, but like how many games get to high level? Like if you're playing standard printed games, most of them end at level 10 for a reason.
Yeah, like 10 to 12. I think the reason that they don't go to level 13 in Baldur's Gate is that's because when you can start getting teleport.
I mean, quite frankly, I was flabbergasted that you got to level 12 in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Like, I think that's even mostly for, let's give people a couple of level 6 spells, because they don't all break the game.
Sunbeam, go!
Yeah, well, yeah, the fact that you get Sunbeam in Act 1, and it doesn't destroy the universe, tells you that maybe it's not that bad. So yeah, they let you have your level 6 spells. Some of them are amazing, but they're not going to end the universe. And it lets you do some fun multi-classing if you want to do that, which I like doing in Baldur's Gate. Maybe I wouldn't do it quite so often as my own character on the tabletop, because having a million things to track is something for 10 years ago me.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate is a weird beast in that it seems that the level 12 thing is built to encourage a bit of a dip in at least one other class, because unless I'm playing a very specific spellcaster, you don't really need to go to 12.
Yeah. 12 gets you 3 ability boosts, 4 if you're a rogue or fighter as well, so...
Well, yeah, but if you've split your thing up evenly, you still get that amount. Not the fighter rogue one, but the 3.
Yeah, your 4s and your if you go an 8 and a 4, then you still get your 3. Although that's rarely the way that you want to do it. You want to do like a 7 and a 5 or something.
Yeah, no, it's very odd to do that because you need level 3 for most things to get their fucking subclass features.
Yeah, and level 5 is when most things pop off.
Yeah, like your second
casters,
attack in a martial.
Yeah, extra attack on martial and level 3 spells on casters.
Fireball!
Yeah, I think the only outlier is rogue.
Yeah, but rogue's weird in this game.
Yeah, they are. But yeah, Divine Soul Sorcerer is just this, it's a Swiss Army knife that you bring to every problem. Does it want to use Fireball? Maybe. Does it want to use Lightning Bolt? Maybe. Does it want to just use Haste and Spirit Guardians and Healing Word? Maybe. They've got all the tools. They can do all the things, apart from wear armor, and that's where multi-classing comes in. Mm-hmm. And it's a slam dunk if you're an Azamar, because, I wonder what's happening. I have this divine blood in me, and I've got sorcerer's powers from my divine blood. Oh, yeah, turns out level 3, I can grow wings because I'm an Azamar. Yeah, turns out I'm descended from angels.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Azamar as you are, Rick.
Yeah, it's that's definitely my favourite player race.
No, you don't say! You fucking bring it up all the time.
Yeah. I save it for myself as a treat. But yeah, that's enough about me harping on about Divine Soul. Who's going to be your number 2?
My number 2 is the Oath of Redemption Paladin.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, it's once again from Xanathar's. There's nothing in its kit that is outright standing out that I'm like, yes, I want it for that. But thematically, I love the concept.
Yeah, to wit, I'm currently playing a Redeemer in Pathfinder, or at least partly a Redeemer.
Yeah.
And we have a Redeemer in the Pathfinder game that you were in.
Did we? Oh, was that...
Yeah.
I won't say his name.
Yeah, our champion was a Redeemer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love how it straight up tells you in the description for the Oath of Redeemer, so you don't get dumbasses playing it, where it says, Oath of Redeemers aren't idiots. They know that demons and vampires and stuff cannot be redeemed.
Yeah, if something's entire nature is to consume, and it's a cowardly thing that will say and do anything to escape immediate destruction, they will do the thing and then continue doing what they do. Yeah, your Redeemers know that, this is what they do, so they don't lose their oath by killing them.
Yeah, in fact, it straight up says that they know that in order to keep life going, these destructive influences must in fact be destroyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like if you're playing one due to the tenets, violence basically can't be your first reaction to things. Like, you have to try and find peaceful solutions.
Yeah, even if your first reaction is, oh, knowledge, violence is the only solution, you should be doing it with a grim face.
Well, yeah, but it's one of those where if you encounter a demon, a demon's a bad example. If you encounter a devil as an Oath of Redemption paladin, then you know you need to get rid of it. That is the solution.
Yeah. But even with devils, there's an avenue for discussion. Like, devils normally want something. Demons normally just want chaos and death.
You know what I mean, Rick?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You've always got to do this. You've got to pick at things for no reason.
Yeah. There is a zombie. The zombie wants brains.
Yeah.
You know the zombie's got to go.
It's a level 20 action, so you're almost definitely not going to get it, but I also love the idea of Invincible Conqueror.
Oh, yeah, the Paladin capstones are sick. Just like any level 20 transformation that the Paladin gets you, they all just look and feel great. This one more even than others.
Yeah, resistance to all damage. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can make one additional attack as part of the action. So, how many attacks do you get at level 20 as a Paladin? Is it 4 or 3?
It's the same 2, so this makes it 3. 4 if you got a bonus action attack for some reason, like Polearm Master.
So 3 attacks regular. That becomes 6. Just saying, that's a lot. Oh, and also you crit on a 19.
Oh yeah. So you get Champion Fighter on top of everything.
Right, it's very nice. I'm sure people were like, there are other more interesting oaths. I looked at the wrong thing. That was the Oath of Conquest. Whoops.
Okay. Invincible Conqueror. Okay, so apparently you like Conquest as well.
That was me being dumb. Sorry, the Paladin one is Emissary of Redemption. You have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures, their attack, spells, and other effects. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack, it takes radiant damage equal to half the damage you took.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So basically the damage you took, full stop, because you got resistance, but it doesn't, assumedly.
Yeah.
Meaning...
hit me, hit you.
Yeah, like it's still cool. I can't believe I fucked up so grandly. But yeah, I was just mentioning some people might say there's better oaths. I know the Oath of Conquest is a very popular one on the tabletop.
Yeah, that's basically if you want to be an edgier paladin than just a vengeance guy, but you don't want to be quite as bad as, say, an actual Oathbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, Oathbreakers can be fun in their own right, especially if you're trying to, I don't know, make a redemption arc. But certainly not something I would encourage people start with.
Yeah, an Oath of Redemption is normally a very good final part of your character development after you've fallen from whatever. So you start as whatever, like Devotion, fall to become an Oathbreaker, and then you end up as a Redemption, which is like even more of a good guy than a Devotion fella can be.
Well, sort of. It's weird, isn't it? Because Oath of Redemption doesn't actually mean your redemption.
No, but it's often a very good stepping stone. Like, if you firmly believe in redemption, then that's the kind of thing that you want to effect in the world. And the moment you stop really believing in it for others is the moment you stop believing in it for yourself.
Okay, sure. I'm just saying, like, I'm saying it's not a necessity.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not a necessity. You can just be a bleeding heart.
Right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is one that you're all pretty familiar with. It's the Forge Cleric.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I had a couple of thoughts about Cleric. I've tossed up whether I wanted to put Twilight on here or Order, but the one that I actually do play and do enjoy and like is Forge. You want to make shit? Well, you got Artificer or you got Forge Cleric.
Which came first?
And,
you don't know, that's fine.
Yeah, Artificer was playtested before Forge Cleric, but Forge Cleric got printed before Artificer.
Okay, what book's it from?
Eberron. Oh wait, sorry, no, Forge Cleric is in Xanathars, Artificer is in Eberron.
Yeah, no, yeah, cool. No, I wasn't. Funny enough, I wasn't talking about the Artificer while you're bringing up the Cleric.
Yeah, Artificer is in Eberron and then got reprinted, I think, in Tasha's.
Sure.
But yeah, the Forge Cleric level 1, you get a +1 that you can put somewhere. You make it your armor or your weapon or a shield or whatever. And if you're all kitted out, you can give it to a friend, or you can give it to a friend to start with.
At level 1, you're probably not all kitted out.
Yeah, you're definitely not. But this is something that it future-proofs itself. Like the fact that you can just move it around as you need to means that when you're level 9 and everyone's nearly kitted out, you can make nearly into fully.
So you get a free +1. Can you put the +1 on something that's already a +1 and make it a +2?
Not into a +2. Not something that's already magical.
Okay, cool.
So technically, even though materials are not magical, the fact that adamantine is classed as a magic item, you technically can't. Although, as intended, intended, probably you can, but as written, you can't.
I think as a DM, I'd be like, are you guys level 10? I'll probably allow it. Are you guys level 1? You're not doing that shit on my table.
Yep. But yeah, you've seen me do this. I did it with the High Elf, where you get a blade cantrip as well. So you've got the standard cleric goodness of all the cleric spells, but you've got stratospheric AC. And I was just being a hazard in the middle of the battlefield. Like bringing a boss to a normal encounter.
I mean, yeah, but you got to bear in mind, you also had the deck stacked in your favour by the fact that the campaign you were playing was giants, and giants all rely on being able to hit you. Now, granted, they've got like plus 10 to their to hits, but that doesn't mean all that much when your AC's 23.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, that's my number 2. Let's get into the finale. Who's going to be your number 1?
This one is a tough one for me, Rick, because I'll just say it, as a player and as a DM, I have an absolute hard-on for warlocks.
Yeah.
I don't say this... Okay, this is going to sound dumb. I don't say this because of their mechanics, despite the fact that, let's be honest, Rick, their mechanics are pretty fucking good.
Yes. They're another one of the things that I'll point to and say that's a well-designed class. Not because it's intuitive, but because there's so much Lego in it. You can build a warlock almost exactly how you like, and they took that and ran with it for Artificer as well.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. As a DM, I love it because if I have a warlock in the party, I have a built-in motivator.
Yeah. Your patron wants you to do something.
Yeah.
Whereas with the cleric generally doesn't have as much of a connection to the deity because there's more clerics than there are warlocks.
Yeah. Warlocks are a personal thing.
Yeah. Clerics deities can't always split their attention, whereas patrons, they can probably focus a lot more on who their magical sugar baby is.
Alright, for real. I can't express my disappointment when in our previous giant game we had a warlock in the party, and I asked them, so what's the deal with you and your patron, because I want to do a thing, and they just went, oh, the deal's done. Like,
yeah.
What? And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? And as I said that, I went, no, you know what, fine, whatever, you're playing a warlock because you just want to be a warlock and you don't want to have fun with the story. Fine, whatever. I'll just scrap that fucking idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I digress. Warlocks, I love. It was very hard to pick one specific pact because, you know, the type of pact, the thing you are bound to, because they're all just fun. You can have a blast with any of them as a story thing. Like, so much so, we've got 2 warlocks in our current game, and you could not get vastly different movesets.
Oh, yeah. Like, even just being a pure class warlock, you can be completely different. Like, yes, they're all casters, but you've got your blade locks, and you've got your pet master chain locks, and your generalist tome locks, who the other guy was from the other campaign. So you've basically DM'd for all 3 styles so far.
Yeah. Man, that other
and
build
each one was
odd.
a different patron.
Yeah. The one in our other game had the fear guy, if I recall.
Yeah.
I had a lot of terrifying auras.
We had undead before, and now we've got a hexblade. And it's a divine soul now. There's a what do you call it? Celestial warlock and a wetlock, the fathomless.
Yeah, and they're all very fun. But yeah, I've gone for the Genie Pact.
Ah, yes. This is the one that's the most customizable because you can choose which genie you are genied with.
Yeah, so this is in Tasha's for anyone who wants to look it up. It's great because essentially the way they set it out is having a genie patron is weird. It's unusual, not least because most genies are not that benevolent.
Yeah, like they're used to having to give out wishes and then spending all of their lives figuring out how to twist wishes.
Speaking of, doesn't matter which genie patron you have at 9th level spellcasting, you gain the wish spell.
Yeah, something warlocks generally don't get.
Yeah. So yeah, they give you an expanded spell list for having a genie patron. All of them get a set amount of things, like you'll get Detect Evil and Good, Phantasmal Force, Create Food and Water, Phantasmal Killer, and Creation. But you've also got subsections, so if you're a Dow, you get Sanctuary at 1st level, Genie, Thunderwave, Afriti, Burning Hands, Married, Fog, because they're all elementals. So, you know, it all makes sense. What flavour do you want? The reason why I like it is you actually get a very cool little thing. You get the expanded spell list, but at 1st level you also get a Genie's Vessel.
Yeah, so similar to a lamp that a genie comes in, you can go into the vessel and just have your own little private space to go to sleep in.
Yeah, pretty much. Having a genie warlock in your party in a hardcore survival campaign would actually actually be pretty useful because you've always got a comfortable home. The only downside is, of course, that, if someone picks it up and moves it while you're sleeping, that might be a bitch. But yeah, you get a tiny little vessel. You can roll a d6 to find out what one you get. They give you a little table, or you can just pick.
Yeah, like if you want to be an amulet or a ring, that's a real easy one for an ally to just wear as they're going into somewhere that they should be alone for, and then you just pop out and surprise, motherfucker.
But yeah, they're all typical genie inhabitable places, as you say. You got the classic oil lamp, you got an urn, a ring with a compartment, but a little slot for a gem, stoppered bottle, hollow statuette, or an ornate lantern. 20 feet by 20 feet. You can do a lot with that.
Yeah, you could make a lab. It's great.
There's a lot of things you can do. At level 6, you get Elemental Gift. You begin to take on characteristics of your patron, so either Dao, Genie, Efreeti, or Married. You have resistance to a damage type, depending on what. They're all elemental, apart from Dao, which is just you get resistance to bludgeoning.
Yeah. Still pretty good.
Oh, yeah. By the way, it also gives you a fly speed.
Yes.
As a bonus action at level 6, you can give yourself a flying speed of 30 feet and last for 10 minutes. You can use this bonus action equal to your proficiency bonus before needing a long rest.
Yeah, so pretty much as many or more times as a wizard will be able to cast fly with 3rd level slots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty good one. And it's a bonus action rather than an action as well. It's great.
Yeah. At 10th level, your vessel gets even better. You can select up to 5 willing creatures within 30 feet, and considering most Dungeons & Dragon parties are between 4 and 6 people, that's the perfect number, and they get to go inside your vessel with you.
Yeah. I think the only downside is if you've got other people who are pet classes, and that just bloats the party a bit. But even then, you've probably got a way to unsummon and resummon those at least.
Maybe. Depends what type of summoner you are.
Yeah, fair enough. Like if you're a artificer guy, maybe give the artificer the amulet. Give the artificer pet the amulet, and it just looks like a golem that's just like gone to sleep.
Maybe. But also you can do a short rest in 10 minutes while inside the vessel.
Yes.
Once again, this seems very tailored towards those hardcore survival campaigns people like to do.
Yeah, totally.
Last but not least, at 14th level, you get Limited Wish, which is you get to talk to your patron. He grants you a wish.
Yeah.
You can't use this feature again until you finish 1d4 long rests, but chances are you won't need to use it very soon after using it.
Yeah, it's like a way better version of Divine Intervention, in that you specifically do just ask for the wish.
It's Limited Wish. So what it does is it grants you the effect of one spell that is 6th level or lower.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So it's that part of wish, i.e. the part that DMs are less worried about because the spells already exist in the game, as opposed to the outside of spells one, which is just that's the one where you have to do the genie fuckery on.
Yeah. Or if you're me, and that one time I gave you guys a genie wish, and I said you can have whatever you want within reason.
Yeah. These things will not be twisted. If there would be a need to twist it, the answer is no.
Like, my favourite one is one of our players straight up said, "Can we wish to be lucky?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And they just responded with, "Everyone gets a lucky feat." And I went, "I'm not going to do that because that's going to actually break things, but I really like that idea, so take some inspiration."
Yeah. And like one person could take the lucky feat, but everyone getting it is a bit silly.
If everyone chose to use a feat slot on lucky, I wouldn't argue. But everyone getting it as a free extra feat for this, I would have been like, no, that's too busted.
Yeah. I think I ended up picking Warcaster.
But yes, Rick, that was my number one. Who gets your number one?
My number one is the class that made me like wizards. It's the Blade Singer Wizard.
Oh, this thing has ruined so many games.
Yeah. We've had full casters that can do martial stuff in the past. For example, Warlock, and there's even 2 bards that do it. So It's not exactly new ground in terms of power level. But the thing that makes it more powerful for a wizard is the fact that they have the wizard spell list as opposed to the bard spell list.
Yeah.
This is things like the shield reaction, and more recently silvery barbs, which bard also get, and just generically being a prick. They go around doing all their arcane bullshit while also having another stratospheric AC, and the restrictions are you can't wear medium or heavy armor, you can't have a shield, and you can't wield a weapon in 2 hands.
Yeah.
But in response, you get to add your intelligence to your AC.
So we're talking 18
your,
AC minimum.
Oh yeah. So you're probably going to be a Dex Int build. So you're probably going to start with 16 in both.
Oh, sorry. I was you know what? I didn't even add Dex. I was just thinking Mage Armor, which puts you to 13, then plus 5 from your Int. That's 18, and then an additional 5 if you have a cast shield. shield, which is 23, so you're already a pain in the ass.
Yep. Yeah, stratospheric AC. I think there is a way to get it so that you have so much of your stats that like a Tarask needs to crit to hit you. Yeah, that's how stupid Bladesinger gets. However, they still only have D6 health.
But I was gonna say that's kind of irrelevant with a Tarask, because Tarask's problem isn't its high damage output; it's its high defensive capabilities.
It's kind of both. They've got a plus 19 to hit, which normally hits everybody. It's just when you've stacked up to 38 AC.
Yeah, but you can't do that at level 1. Is my point.
Yeah, not level 1. But if you're fighting a Tarask at level 1, your DM actually wants to kill you in real life.
No, what's happening there is that you went, I've got a level 1 build that can beat a Tarask, and the DM goes, okay, let's see.
Yeah. But yeah, they get that at level 2. Level 6, they get extra attack, and as of Tasha's, they can mix in a cantrip instead of one of their attacks. And including in these cantrips are the blade cantrips, which are just better versions of the attack. And later on, you get to add your intelligence to damage with weapons, and able to expend a spell slot to resist 4 times that much damage. If you don't want to use shield, you can just resist.
I was about to say, what I'm thinking of, when I say this ruins games, I didn't even mean D&D. I meant, like, I remember the time when you played a run of DS2 with me, and you were doing really silly damage, as in not a lot, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And you're like, I'm seeing which spell is the best spell to add. And I remember you went from magic to lightning at one point, and I went, there's no way your stats are going to be good enough for either of those to make a fucking difference. And you're like, I want to be a Spellblade. And I'm like, that's not a thing in DS2.
Yeah. I mean, you can infuse your stuff in DS2, but normally the best way to do it is just to spend money and use a resin, unless you're already like aiming down that path and being like a strength faith guy using lightning weapon.
Yeah, but even here's the thing, right? Unless you're using a fan mod, lightning sucks ass in every Dark Souls, because they always nerf it, but they never nerf it properly.
Yeah. But they make it shit to use for everything.
For real. I remember they were like, the first time they nerfed lightning spears, and it was like, cool, you can now only cast 3 instead of 11, but we've increased the damage by 60%, except they didn't. They decreased it by 60%.
Yep. And the only way you can basically run it is if you max out the number of lightning spears that you have, so you've got like 30 of them instead of 3.
At that point, fucking do Hex.
Yeah. Like all you need is 10 int, and you can do like Dark Ball, and you're good to go.
Yeah, but you get 20 of those.
Yeah. For one slot you get 20, and you can pick up at least 3 of them like during normal play.
Well, you have to buy 2 copies, but still.
Well, yeah, still, but yeah, the fact that there are that many available to you as part of the game is like a big deal. But yes, the Bladesinger it's the thing that made me care about wizards, because until then I was like, okay, I can be a wizard and be technically good at being a wizard, or I can be a sorcerer, have most of the wizard spell stuff, and have meta magic. Yeah, this made me change my mind. But I guess we get into our finale. Of mine, do you have a favourite?
I'm going to say the Barbarian, because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It's the one that very definitely... I didn't not care about Barbarian, but it's one that made me really, really like Barbarian. I was planning to play this for another game that was cut short by real world things, and yeah, it's just a good one. It's just a good guy to have.
Yeah. More team synergy is always good, although I do like the Barbarian's typical strategy of me hit thing.
Yeah.
How about you? Same question reversed.
I'm going to go with the Redeemer. It's just this it's such an easy thing to inject into any fantasy of just someone who sees the best in people and wants other people to do better. Like, it doesn't even have to be a paladin in fiction, but it just works so well for the paladin fantasy on the 5e tabletop.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at so many characters from fiction that would probably have taken this as their subclass if they had it. Like Luce, for instance. She knows that Belos isn't going to change his ways, so
okay,
the ending happens.
But I get what you're saying, Rick, but it took her a while to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's part of the journey. And like that's part of why I think Paladin Oaths are one of the better ways to implement that character, in that they can change over time.
I do like the fact I like Paladin Oaths for one reason and one reason only, and that is it punishes players when they don't act like their character's meant to act.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's the only one where they get this debuff as well. Because if you go back far enough, it was just a kit for a fighter, and it gave you so many more things that they had to put some restrictions on it. And also the fact that Gary Gygax was he adored restrictions and stupid rules, which is why he put so many little restrictions in, like the no metal thing for druids. And back in the day, you could only level up as a druid if you killed another druid of the level that you wanted to take.
Okay.
Yeah. There was only one archdruid. But yes, and should we do a one that we don't like?
No.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, that's probably a good enough place to end it for today. So, if you liked the video, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube, and if you're listening via one of the many audio platforms, you can instead send us an email at
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you all next time.
Bye.